Emily's descent. In the quiet town nestled by the demonic woods, a cycle of unspeakable horror replayed month after month. Jonah, Max, Leo and Emily had become the Hollow's unwilling servants. Every month, 2 days before the full moon, the Hollow would demand the sacrifice of 4 innocent children to quench its insatiable thirst for cruelty. While the town lay blissfully ignorant of the price of its safety, the foursome bore the weight of their deeds, a responsibility that began eroding their souls. Every child's scream, every drop of blood soaking into the earth was a mark of their shared sin. Among them, Emily bore the toll of their dark deeds the heaviest, at least initially. Once tormented by nightmares filled with the terrified faces of their young victims, a chilling transformation was now overtaking her. The anguish that had once consumed her was giving way to a disturbing hunger. The same woods that whispered horrors now whispered dark delights into Emily's ear, luring her further down a sinister path. Gone were her tears. Instead, Emily found a macabre pleasure in their monthly rituals. Her once anguished dreams morphed into twisted theatres of torment, where she revelled in the pain and suffering they inflicted. The hunt became a game, the children's fear a drug. With every chase, the once compassionate woman was lost, replaced by a creature intoxicated by power and cruelty. The haunting lullaby she sang became the embodiment of her transformation. "Sweet dreams, little ones, the Hollow awaits," she'd croon with dark glee. Her voice, a former source of comfort, now became a harbinger of the impending doom, echoing through the forest, striking fear into the hearts of her companions. Jonah, Max and Leo watched in silent horror as their dear friend morphed before their eyes. They began to fear Emily more than the woods itself, for she was a reflection of the malevolent force they had unleashed. The weight of their actions, the guilt, and the horrors of the Hollow were turning one of their own into something monstrous. Despite the dread Emily's transformation evoked in them, they could not deny their shared role in this nightmare. The Hollow's malevolent grip on their lives seemed eternal, its thirst never fully quenched. The aftermath of each full moon brought only a brief respite, a fleeting moment of relief before the impending cycle would begin anew. For Jonah, Max, Leo, and the ever-changing Emily, the demonic woods ensnared them in an unending dance of guilt, sorrow, and malevolence. Their lives had become a haunting waltz with evil, one that offered no escape, only a promise of deeper darkness and perpetual torment. As weeks blurred into months, another sinister transformation began to manifest in Emily. The once vibrant blue of her eyes started to lose its hue, replaced by an eerie shade of white. This change seemed to intensify at night, especially as she neared the demonic woods. The once familiar glint of her eyes now mirrored the pale luminance of the moon, making her visage even more chilling. Whenever she approached the woods, her gait would change. Her once graceful stride twisted into something grotesque and inhuman, as if the very ground she walked upon was rejecting her, or worse, pulling her into its dark embrace. Her limbs would contort, and she'd move in a disjointed, jerky manner, reminiscent of a marionette manipulated by unseen hands. It was a dance of demonic possession, a visual testament to the wood's increasing control over her. And then there was the blood. Emily developed an unsettling fascination with it. She'd take a blade, sharp and gleaming in the dim light, and make incisions on her own flesh. The sight of her crimson life force oozing from the fresh wounds seemed to entrance her. She'd gaze at it with a mixture of delight and obsession, as if her blood held secrets only she could decipher. The pain, it seemed, provided her a perverse pleasure, a tangible connection to the horrors they were perpetrating. The trio, Jonah, Max and Leo, watched these developments with growing alarm. Emily's descent was no longer just psychological. It was physical, palpable and ever-present. The woman they once knew was becoming a spectre, a creature of the night, shaped and moulded by the demonic woods and the malevolent force within. One evening under the waxing crescent, Leo decided to confront Emily. He approached her, noting the fresh cuts on her arms and the sickly white of her eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. "Emily," he began, his voice shaking, "this has to stop. Look at yourself, what this is doing to you." Emily turned to him, her lips curling into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. In a voice that seemed layered, both her own and something darker beneath, she replied, "It's the price we pay, Leo. The Hollow demands, and I've become its favourite." Leo stepped back, horrified. "We need to find a way out," he whispered, more to himself than her. Max and Jonah, having overheard the exchange, exchanged worried glances. They realized the urgency of their situation. Emily's transformation was not just her own undoing. It was a chilling indicator of what awaited them all if they continued down this path. Together, the trio made a pact. They'd find a way to break the cycle, to free themselves and save Emily from her chilling metamorphosis. But time was running out, and with every passing night, the wood's grip on Emily tightened, threatening to consume her entirely. As the days melded into nights and nights into days, the transformation of Emily became all the more pronounced. The eerie whiteness of her eyes and her haunting walk had made her almost unrecognizable. But nothing could have prepared the trio for what was to come next. One chilling evening, the skies painted a hue of blood red, foreboding what lay ahead. As darkness swallowed the land, an insidious urge took hold of Emily. Leo and Max, who had grown increasingly wary of Emily's state, met under the shade of a great oak to discuss a possible solution, a way to bring back their old friend. But they had been watched. With the precision of a huntress, Emily cornered Leo first. Using her newfound strength, she pinned him down, burying him alive beneath the roots of a gnarled tree. His muffled screams echoed through the woods, slowly being drowned out by the earth consuming him. It was said that the trees of the demonic woods could feast on souls, and as Leo's life ebbed away, the tree under which he was buried seemed to pulse with a newfound vitality. Max, realizing that Emily was beyond any form of reason, tried to escape, but she was too fast for him. Capturing him with a predatory swiftness, she methodically drained him of his blood, collecting it in an ancient-looking chalice she'd unearthed from the woods. With Max's lifeless body at her feet, Emily proceeded to plant a seed in the crimson-soaked ground. She fed the seed with Max's blood, whispering arcane chants as she did so. Before her very eyes and under the pale moonlight, a twisted sapling began to sprout, its roots drawing nourishment from the very essence of Max. Jonah, having witnessed these gruesome acts from his hiding spot, was paralyzed with horror. He knew that he was the last barrier between Emily's malevolence and the town. With a heavy heart and a determination fueled by the memories of his lost friends, Jonah ambushed Emily as she was entranced by her sinister ritual. Using a relic he had found earlier, believed to possess the power to subdue dark entities, he sacrificed Emily to the demonic woods. The woods seemed to come alive, the trees groaning in either pain or pleasure. They consumed Emily, her screams echoing through the night, blending with the whispers of the hollow. As the woods went silent, Jonah stood alone, surrounded by the reminders of the horror they had all endured. Unable to bear the weight of his actions and the loss of his friends, Jonah made the painful decision to abandon everything. He left his family, his town, and ventured into a life of solitude. But no matter how far he travelled, the haunting memories of that fateful night pursued him. The faces of Leo and Max, the transformed visage of Emily, and the chilling grip of the demonic woods remained etched in his mind. Years later, in a distant town, tales emerged of a mysterious wanderer. He was known to carry a tattered bag from which he never parted. Those who dared to peer inside claimed they saw relics from a bygone era, an old chalice, a withered sapling, and a relic with unknown inscriptions. The wanderer, it was said, would sometimes sit by campfires and recount tales of a haunted town, cursed woods, and a group of friends who paid the ultimate price for their curiosity. And as the tales unfolded, listeners would be left with a chilling realization. Evil, once unleashed, never truly goes away. It merely waits, lurking in the shadows, biding its time, reminding those who've encountered it of its everlasting presence. If the chilling tales I've shared sent shivers down your spine, then you won't want to miss what's coming next. Ensure you never miss a haunting tale by hitting that subscribe button, giving this video a thumbs up, and ringing the notification bell. Join us on this eerie journey and immerse yourself in more horrifying stories. Sleep tight and remember, darkness is just a click away.